Hey guys, it's Mark coming to you with this month's Wine of the Month Club recipe, the perfect pairing for our Collina d'Oro Chardonnay. Today's recipe is creamy fettuccine with pancetta and prawns. It's super simple, but a great light summery dish, which again pairs perfect with any of our Chardonnays, but especially with one of this month's selection, the Collina d'Oro. So we're gonna start with getting all of our prep ready, and the real beautiful part is after we've got some of our rough chopping and things set up, it's all one pan cooking today. So the first thing that we gotta get ready is a shallot. And so cut off the root end bottom and the top and right down the middle. And this is gonna make it very, very easy just to grab that skin layer and peel that off. And we just want to get some nice small dice. So we're going to make 2 to 3 incisions lengthwise along that shallot, and then come back this way and cut some small slices towards you. Turn it back to its side, and as you chop through, then of course you're going to get this beautiful small dice that will roll right off the knife. And we're going to do this entire shallot. So good, we've got our shallot minced. This can just be sat on the side for now. The next one's one of my favorites, and every time that I do these videos and I have garlic to chop, I always like to share my trick, I guess I would say. So what we want to do is there's always going to be a root end on your garlic, and we're just going to snip that off. Now, once you've got that root end cut off, the skin is semi-freed, but it still clings to the garlic. So the best way to do it is to take your chef's knife and lay it flat down on top and just give it a nice little smack there. It doesn't have to crush it. You just want to hear it kind of crunch. And then you can grab your garlic by what I call the tail end there and just have it fall right out of the skin by tapping it. So I've got a trick for mincing garlic. We're going to turn the knife over. And on your chef's knife, you should have a nice 90-degree angle here, of fat, what they call the spine of the knife. As you're holding the garlic down, just use a scraping motion. Imagine as if you were taking small slices, but that blunt side, that 90-degree angle on the back, actually, that little corner is what's slicing that garlic off. And you can see that with just one pass, it's perfectly sliced. Now, to get it to the minced, to even finely chop it, just turn it and go one time through with the blade of your knife. And it may be hard to see at home, but I promise you that is a heck of a lot easier than chasing this around my board for the last 40 minutes trying to get that small mince. So now that we've got our garlic and our shallots nice and minced, we're going to move on to our little tomatoes. Now, Sweet 100 tomatoes, pear tomatoes, mini heirloom tomatoes, any of these will work. These are actually called sugar plum tomatoes. And all we need to do, because of the size on these, is just cut them in half. We need the zest of about half a lemon, and then we're gonna need the juice of the entire lemon. Now, if you have one of these fancy microplanes at home, they are the best because they don't allow for the pith or the white part of the lemon to come through in the zesting. And that's the part that's really bitter. Cut her in half. Now my lemon zest and the lemon juice. And of course, avoid the seeds. I like to just squeeze it into my hand with my fingers kind of pinched together so that I can catch any seeds. And the only thing left is to pick some fresh thyme as far as our prep work here. So we're gonna start at the base end, grab it, and just with gentle pressure, pull it in between the fingers. And all of those leaves, none of the stems will come out of that. It's so aromatic. And when this hits the pan, it really just lights up the entire kitchen. You can just smell this herb permeating. And we're just gonna do a little rough chop. And this, I can marry right in to the same exact container of which I put that lemon zest and the juice. And with that, you guys, the majority of our prep and the hard work is done. Only the rewarding part of getting to put this all together remains. So let's come on over to the stove and I'll show you how we finish this. All right, guys, now it's time to throw it all together. So we've got our about a cup of diced pancetta. Now you can use bacon, but pancetta has a lot more depth of flavor. And so into about a medium high pan. And it's only gonna take a couple of minutes, but what we're looking for is for it to start to turn a little translucent, and some of this white fat will begin to render out and start to collect in the bottom. And we've got that fat collected in the bottom of the pan. So now the pancetta can come out of the pan. So the next step, and we've got our pancetta removed. We just set it off on the side. We're gonna put butter, because of course everything's good with butter. Just add a little bit of olive oil, which also brings flavor, but more than that, it's a fat that does not burn at as low as a temperature as butter. Now, once this is beginning to melt, this is where it all kind of starts getting fast and furious, but it all comes together really easy in the end. Now I've got some nice fresh linguine here that will go into some, lightly salted boiling water. So now that our butter and olive oil is nice and melted, we're gonna add that beautiful minced garlic and shallots to the pan. Now the star of the dish, besides the wine, is our prawns. I got about a dozen of these. And again, depending upon the size or how hungry you are. Now, of course, shrimp cooks pretty darn fast. And so the minute that we start to see some of the color change and they start to get a little pink on us is when the rest of our ingredients are going to go in so that we don't overcook our prawns. So up to a high heat now, as high as you can get it. And we're going to put in about a cup. And I'm using the very, very same Chardonnay that I'm drinking and to pair this dish with, the Covellina d'Oro. Now, things get fun and you look super fancy, but don't be afraid. You shouldn't burn your house down. The flames are only going to last for a minute as that little bit of alcohol burns off. This is the classic, what we call a complement pairing. Now, with that cup of chard, and once your flames go down, we can add our heavy cream. And this is about a 1 cup. I don't really need this dish to be creamy. This is adding body, and it's gonna add support structure to the buttery creaminess that the Chardonnay already carries. Once the cream is in there, we have that combination, which was the lemon zest, the lemon juice, and also the chopped thyme. That can go right on into the dish. And this is the part where your entire kitchen starts to smell amazing. Let's check on our pasta here. We're looking good. Now the old term is al dente, meaning to the tooth, means it needs to have a little bit of bite left in it. So if it has too much chewiness to it, you really got to work on it. It needs just a couple more minutes. If it has a little bit of toothiness, but you can still bite through it easy, then that's what's called perfect al dente. And I'm about 1 minute away from here. So now the pancetta that we previously cooked down is going to be added to the pan. And our sliced sweet 100 tomatoes, or pear tomatoes, heirlooms, whatever you have that are in the nice small sweet variety. So a little pinch of the red pepper flakes. And in the recipe, it calls for, I believe, a cup of shredded Parmesan Reggiano. And at this point, we're going to add half of that cup. Now my pasta is ready. So off to the sink I go. And I think this is looking just about perfect. You can really see how now all the bubbles have come together. There's no thin parts in the sauce. It's really richened up. So go ahead and kill your heat. To that, we're going to add that perfect al dente pasta so that the rest of its cooking time is spent absorbing the flavors of this sauce and not just water. And then as soon as we have this mix, guys, this is the fun part, we get to eat. So let's take it back over to the cutting board and I'll show you how to plate and enjoy and pair this with our Chardonnay. All right, guys, time to plate up our dish. So what I like to do is to make it look a little bit extra fancy, take a fork, go right into your pile of fettuccine and then begin to spin it. When we plate a dish like this, it's gonna make it look a lot more put together than if we just were to sort of plop the pasta down. Keeps it in a nice bundle. We've got to highlight the fact that the prawns and all of our major ingredients should always, always be seen. So we'll layer some prawns and the tomatoes right up front. And then, simple enough, is Italian parsley. Now, unlike the curly version, it's not quite as bitter, so I like to use it in whole leaves because it just looks a little bit more fancy, I think. And here we have it, you guys. The creamy fettuccine con pancetta and prawns. I also like to finish mine with just a couple of little flakes of fresh Parmigiano Reggiano. And let me try this. It's bright. The first thing that comes out is those acids from the tomato and from that lemon juice and the white wine. And it's a perfect dish with our Collina d'Oro Chardonnay. Actually, the wine doesn't feel as buttery and creamy on my palate after the dish, nor does the dish. And that's what a true complement pairing does. So cheers, bon appetito, and I will see you guys next time.